What's up, guys? Alex and Tyler here, Black Sheep Training, BSG Podcast. It has been brought to our attention by a friend of ours that we promised that we wouldn't wait a year to do another podcast. And I think the last podcast was like February 12th or 14th.
Yeah, we have less than 10 days or something.
But we're here.
We're pushing it, yeah.
We're here. And as long as Seth gets it all edited and like uploaded in the whole 9 yards and nothing goes drastically wrong with this, then we kept to our word.
Yes, we're not liars.
What's the goal? I think I think we said 2 a month, right?
Do what?
The goal is going to be 2 a month moving forward.
2, yes.
2 a month moving forward. That's going to be the goal. So we kind of had like a specific topic that we wanted to kind of touch on today, and we've done stuff in the past. We kind of like introduce ourselves and talk about our brand and who we are and what we're trying to do. And kind of along those lines, one of the things that we talked about in that first episode was that we're not like that white collar like fitness program or coaching program, or we don't really believe in like that white collar aspect of fitness where we weigh out all our foods and you know, everything is like you're living in a bubble. We talked about James Fitzgerald, we talked about guys like Ben Bergeron, and that we're a little bit more like blue collar aspect.
Yeah.
So what was it that you kind of want to talk about today along those lines?
I see this thing everywhere where people get very involved in fitness, which is great, but they take it to this extreme where they miss the point of what fitness is actually supposed to do for my life. Fitness should make my life better, as CrossFit defines it, as general physical preparedness. So if I can't get out of bed in the morning, I used to have this problem back in the day when I was very
One-minded.
One-minded, where all I cared about was competing in my number on the leaderboard, and
Can I just? We're good at finishing sentences.
we are pretty good at this. So I used to like train really hard, and then I get up in the morning and I try to pray every morning. I try to hit my knees every morning, and I would be so wrecked that it would be physically painful for me to just hit my knees and pray in the morning. But then by the end of the day, I've tried to max my. Can I cuss here?
You can cuss.
Yeah,
This is cursing.
I can
thing.
cuss. So
yeah.
I try to max my fucking.
Is it
clean.
cussing or is it cursing?
Ooh.
I've always had the R in it.
Where did cussing come? That's
I've
a whole nother podcast.
always been a cursing kind of guy, but real quick, it's cussing obviously because you said it.
I think it's cussing.
Cussing or cursing?
Cursing.
Okay.
It's cursing.
All right, I mean,
Cursing.
we could talk about that another time,
That's
but we
a
just took an easy little poll.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's cussing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I couldn't hit my knees and pray because it was so painful, and then I'd go max my clean and jerk at the end of the day, and then all of my friendship relationships, intimate relationships, relationship with my family, my career, all these outside activities are taking a back seat because I need my number on the leaderboard to be as high as possible, which there is not even 1%, 0.1% of the human population. It's okay for you to do that if your entire life, if you're going to the CrossFit Games. And
If it's going to become a living.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're going to go to the games and go that route and it's an actual thing, yeah, go for it. Run it. You have to do that. In order to be the best, you have to be obsessed, if that's the goal. But if I'm literally just coming here because I want to be fit and I want to be able to maneuver through life without having extreme difficulty or just be able to maneuver through life and do whatever gets put in my path, and I can just do that with ease and keep it moving, there's no reason for the whole I can't hit my knees in the morning to pray and then go max out my clean and jerk. That's ridiculous. Or I literally weigh out everything that I eat and I don't go hang out with my friends because they don't have the stuff that I can eat there, and I'm going to miss my macros that day, and I'm sacrificing everything because I want to be the best CrossFitter in the gym, which is ridiculous because that's completely missed the point of what this whole thing is about. And I've just passed one. So I used to have a problem. Let's kind of sidetrack. Years ago, back in the day, I used to have a little bit of an addiction problem, pushing like 10 years ago. And when I got out of that, I've always been extremely involved in fitness ever since I was a kid. I was a gymnast for years as a kid, and then I did wrestling and track. I got out of that, got into bodybuilding, and then there was a couple years when I partied way too hard and I got really into alcohol and drugs. And then when I came out of that, I kind of threw myself into fitness. And I remember I found CrossFit, and it was great, and it kind of mixed all the modalities that I've been doing my whole life. And I got extremely obsessed with it, and I passed one addiction off for the next addiction. And I noticed that all the negative stuff that came from the first addiction kind of started happening with the second addiction. And my relationships were kind of falling to the wayside, and I wasn't focusing on a career, I wasn't focusing on bettering my life, I wasn't focusing on the future. All I cared about was my number on the leaderboard. And my self-worth was proportional to that. And if I had a bad day in the gym, or if I had a bad day in the open, or if I had whatever, just if I didn't measure up, then I personally felt like I was a piece of shit and I was worthless. Even though I could have done all these other great things, that could have personally been a PR for me in that workout, but on the leaderboard I didn't measure up, and I suck. And that's not a way to live, and that's not, even though I was trying to compete and be the best, that's still not a way to live. So I see it all the time. People get sober or clean, whatever you want to call it, and then they just fall into this thing where it's now they just work out 12 times a day. They buy all this stuff, they have all the cool gear, all they hang out with is people that work out, and then that's their whole life, and they don't try to progress anywhere else.
Which and just to kind of throw in there also, like just so there's like no confusion on what we're talking about, like there is a time for that. Like when you came out of your, dark period of your life, you needed to fill that void with something. Yes. And fitness was much healthier than what the other things were.
100%.
You just need to take that next step eventually. And there's a lot of people that aren't taking that next step. And like we talked about yesterday, like the skills and tools that you learn through CrossFit and through fitness and through goal setting and keeping yourself accountable and pushing yourself and like doing things you didn't find that you originally didn't think were possible. If you only apply that mindset to the gym and CrossFit and progress in the gym, then you're doing yourself a huge disservice.
Yeah, that is the point of fitness.
Yeah.
The point of fitness is like James.
Not just physically, but mentally too.
Well, James Fitzgerald, he said something back when I did the OPEX course, or I was obsessed with him because he's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But he said that this is not just physical and it's not just emotional, but or mental, but it's also spiritual in a way. And he's right, because if I can come in here and I can suffer through a nasty workout, he said the filthy 50. If I can do the filthy 50 and suffer through that, nothing in the rest of my day is going to be hard. It's just easy. So if I can build that discipline and that capacity for suffering here, then I can apply it elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough that I suffered in here for a very long time, years, maybe a little longer than I should have, before I got pulled out of that. And it was after the Open it was after Regionals.
Regionals in 2018.
In 2018, my whole life was this. I think I was top 30 or something in the Open. I was in the 30s maybe, so top 40 in the Open in our region, which is a great accomplishment. That's amazing. I personally felt like the biggest failure because I didn't qualify as an individual. Mm-hmm. And then we qualified as a team and we go to regionals, and then a natural thing that happens in life, somebody got hurt and we had to withdraw, but it was just blow for blow, and I had some other stuff going that didn't work out, but my whole life was wrapped up here, and it kind of just got ripped away from me, and I was lost, and I didn't really know what was going on, and I ended up, I had this trip planned for a year, so it wasn't whatever, but I went backpacking for about 6 weeks with my dog.
Yeah, you missed my wedding for that trip.
I did, yeah.
I remember that.
Well, so I was up in the mountains in Colorado just walking for like 20 miles a day. It was great, it was quiet, and I just did a lot of thinking and a lot of reflection, and what am I actually doing here? Like, am I going to be able to support a family? Like, let's say I make it to the games one time as an individual. Let's say I make it. Is that going to set me up? Am I going to be able to, like, what's important?
Like, theoretically, what's best? What would be best case scenario when that happened? What's the path?
Yeah, like, let's say I actually next year make it to the games. Is that worth all the sacrifices that I made? Do I actually have the ability to do that? Is that really what I want to do? Is it my ego saying that, and for me, it was just my ego saying that if I'm not the best, then I'm the worst.
Well, and kind of along those lines too, it's like a lot of these like, and obviously not so much right now with like the NIL stuff, but like you got these like college kids that are getting like just pushed through college. They're not going to graduate because they play football, and they're, you know, kid's a junior, tears his ACL, never going to get drafted, didn't get an education, isn't going to graduate. So like he like put all of his pennies into one basket, if that's how the saying goes. I'm pretty bad with sayings. Eggs in one basket. All of his eggs in one basket. And then like shit happened, because shit happens, and then he's just kind of fucked. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a similar situation, kind of. You know what I mean?
100%. I think about that a lot, actually. But so I'm up in this trip, and I'm doing my little thing, walking, and asking myself those questions, like, what's important? What do I actually want? I had some relationship issues, kind of all at the same time, probably because I was obsessed with this, and I wasn't the best human being. And I had the realization that I want a family, I want kids, I want a career, and will I be able to actually support my family if I'm in the gym 5 hours a day and like not pursuing a career?
Yeah, it goes back to like, what's your why?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my why was I just want to be the best, which I don't think is, for me personally at least, a good enough one to actually stick it out.
Yeah, and for no other reason than to be like, fuck everybody else, I'm the best.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't actually necessarily like this like paved road that after I became the best, now the Golden Gate's open and now I have this amazing life.
Yeah.
It was just because, which is fine, and I think that like there's periods of people's lives where they can go through that and it doesn't cause detriment to their growth in other aspects of their life.
100%.
But it's important that when that disconnect needs to happen, it happens.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a lot of people that are not doing that.
No.
And like, congratulations, like you're not a shithead anymore, and you're in fitness, and you're doing something valuable with your life. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But what's next? Because if you've just been there and you're just like a gym rat that is trying to go to the games, or probably not even trying to go to the games, just trying to be as good as possible, and you're selling out on all other aspects of your life, going on 4, 5, 6, 7 years, what the fuck are you doing? That was fine year 1, 2, and 3, but eventually you got to grow up.
Yeah, because something's going to happen. So if I was so lucky that in 2018 when that happened, I had this realization that I'm going to pull back, and I was already in school, but I'm really just going to hammer down and focus on that and get my career going, so I can actually be financially successful and support a family and do that whole thing. So I started focusing more on that, and then I got really into like old trucks and motorcycles and fixing that. So I kind of broadened my horizons.
Human worth.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got outside of this whole bubble that I had created for myself, and I think it was 2 years later, I fucking blew my knee out on a stupid freak accident. It wasn't doing CrossFit. I was just making a right-hand turn at a stoplight. There was some sand on a motorcycle, and I just kind of slid and stomped my foot. And what do you know? Can't stand up out of a chair for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And if that would have happened 2 years before, I would have been so lost.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't have known. I don't know if I would have made it.
Right.
Like that would have ripped.
Literally your only thing.
That was it.
Yeah.
I would have been. Because I remember that that day at regionals, because I had to go tell them that we were withdrawing.
Yeah.
And then we walked over we were carrying Jackie, or we were walking with her to get our shit to leave. And you looked over at me, or you looked over at Jackie, and you're like, "Do you want a drink?" And I mean, I hadn't had a drink in 5 or 6 years at that point.
And at that moment,
that was the first time I was like, "Holy shit, that sounds like such a good idea."
Yeah.
And if I couldn't even imagine, because that was just that competition getting kind of ripped away.
Right.
But
in general, fitness in general.
Yeah, I had such a hard time. Like the year and a half after that was probably like some of the darkest, worst times of my life.
Yeah. Set yourself up for failure, basically.
Yeah.
By putting
the knee.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that was with all the other cushion, because I had school and I was like basically finished with that, and I had all these other areas of my life.
Right.
And it was still
detrimental.
It's such a big part that Yeah.
Which is fine. Fitness should be a big part.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously you should be upset that your knee hurt.
Yes.
But yeah, if it would have happened 4 years earlier or 2 years earlier, it would have been the end of the world.
I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
Literally.
And what we're not saying is like we're not saying don't have goals and chase goals and fucking train hard, because that's the type of stuff that fitness is going to teach you. How to goal set, how to crush goals, how to push yourself hard. That's going to lead into your family or your business. Like I don't think that like this gym would be as successful as it is if I wasn't able to apply some of the principles that I learned through training and through being disciplined into growing a business and like pushing myself and having goals in that realm also. But like you're saying, if I would have always just kept that for fitness, and I would have never pulled the reins back and said, hey, I'm not going to train for 4 hours a day, I'm only going to train for 2 hours today, and I'm going to go spend time with my family or spend time with my wife or build my business. And I feel like I'm so much more of a well-rounded human being now than I was in 2016 or 17 or 18, when if you would have asked me then, I thought that I was living my dream, just training all day and coaching all day.
I think there's a time and a place for that.
Agreed, yeah.
Every dude should go through like a warrior stage.
Yeah.
Where you're just training.
And we've talked a lot about that kind of stuff before. And
you just get your ass kicked and you train really hard and you find out who you are as a man and you
become as hardy as you can.
Yes.
And
there's a time for that, but then there's also a time to build the other aspects, because you can only get so far with one. It's like in video games where you have your HP points. You be the super badass strong dude, you just set that to 10, but everything else is at 2.
I don't understand the reference.
But you can, hopefully
everybody else understands the reference.
But you can only get so far in the game with that. And what if you set everything up at like a 6 or a 7, like your stamina and your strength and your intelligence and all that shit.
Hopefully you guys understand the reference.
In life, you could get farther. It's just going to take a little longer.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is balance, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fitness is great. It serves a purpose. And what is the point of fitness for you? Like, what are your actual goals? Why are you doing this? Is it to better your life? Are you actually... Because honestly, if you're not going to the games or regionals, if you're not on that track and you're so stressed to the point where you're not enjoying eating, you're not enjoying your friends, you're not enjoying your family, you're not enjoying being in here because you're so stressed that you're not going to qualify intermediate for a competition, you have missed the point completely.
Yeah.
I'm all about having a goal 90 days out and training your ass off for that, but what is your purpose for doing this?
Yeah, and one of my things kind of along those lines too is like, and I'm sure you'll resonate with this. There's a lot of people that like we kind of grew up in CrossFit with, that have been CrossFitting for whatever 8 to 12 years, that are still like very one-track minded. And I'm very, very open about, I'm super comfortable with my fitness level. Yeah. And I'm super comfortable with my fitness level, and I'm still training hard, I'm still working hard, but I'm comfortable with the balance I've struck with my family, with my wife, with my business. And I look at some of these other guys that are like kind of our same age, they kind of like grew up in CrossFit with us, and they're still very one-track minded. Like, you can have those 200 open spots. I'll take my life. If I had to trade, like, you're still not going to the games.
Yeah.
Like, if I had to trade 200 open spots or 500 open spots or whatever it might be for the life that I'm living now as a well-rounded human being, you can have it, dude.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And what we're not saying, obviously, is like give up on your fitness, because we both still take our fitness very, very, very seriously. Yeah. But in a balanced way. And I'm sure that there's people that further to the outside of the fitness world that would say that we're not doing it balanced, that we haven't struck a balance, that we are still obsessed. Yeah.
Which maybe that's. I mean, maybe.
I don't know. In the eye of the beholder, I guess. Yeah. You know what I mean? But this is what we think. Take your fitness seriously. Be a bad motherfucker.
Yes.
If you want to, I said this the other day. I hope that I can compete in this shit until the day I die.
Longevity of performance.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That was longevity. So, I remember I had this fucking epiphany when I was doing my little backpack thing with the dog. I saw somebody come out of the woods She had to be 65 years old. I hadn't seen a human being in 4 days. I'm like deep, 13,000 feet above. I'm kind of getting my ass kicked, and I'm very, very fit. And this old chick just comes strolling through. I'm not going to be able to do that by the time I'm 40 because my back and my knees are going to be broken. Yeah. And I just, like, what am I doing? Do I want to be able to pick my kids up and play with them when I'm in my 40s? Yeah. Do I want to be able to go backpacking? Do I want to be able to wakeboard? Do I want to be able to do this stuff in my 40s or 50s? Or do I just want to be a really bad dude until I'm 35 and then I'm
And probably part of maturity also is like realizing that you're probably going to live past 29. Because when I was young and I had a shithead stage and then I had like an athlete, and at no point in time did I ever think about like if you would ask me when I was 20, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to be dead by 40. It's fine. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to take whatever drugs I want. I'm going to like do whatever kind of dumb stuff. I'm going to get arrested because I'm probably going to die. Like, and I think part of being mature is realizing that you're probably not going to die. And you probably are going to live a long life, God willing. Yeah. And you should probably set yourself up for success in that regard.
Yeah, because actions have consequences. Yeah, so you're going to have to live with the actions that you take and the choices that you make. Yeah, in your 20s and 30s. Yeah. And, like my knees, this knee's perfect. This knee's a little banged up. My back hurts sometimes. Yeah. It's not terrible, but I'm sure that if I kept going the route that I was going, it'd be a lot worse.
It would be a problem.
And by the time, I can't believe, like 40's close. It's kind of close.
Kind of.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's closer.
Wow, how old did you just turn?
40.
Okay.
I mean, 40's right there on the other side of the camera. But he's still fitnessing every day.
Yeah.
I see him in here all the time, and he's killing it. So there's a balance.
Still able to fitness.
Yeah. Do I want to sacrifice?
I mean, like
starting a new career.
Yeah, starting a new career at 40.
At 40.
Yeah. And I don't know a whole lot about him, but like Ronnie Coleman, like from what I understand, I think he's in a fucking wheelchair.
Yeah, his legs are.
Yeah.
I mean, he's and like
he does say that he doesn't regret it and he wouldn't change anything.
I think you got to kind of die on that hill.
I agree. I agree.
I think that's the move.
Yeah.
Because I'd probably say the same thing.
If not, it's because if not, then it's.
I'm not putting words in his mouth, but I feel like you kind of got to die on that hill.
Yeah.
But either way, whether he regrets it or not, I don't feel like I want to be that way.
I want to be able to hang out with my family and my kids and do very active stuff when I'm older.
Yeah.
Because I used to think 40, and I just thought that was the end.
Yeah.
But now 40s, there's people in here that are 40 that are jacked and strong.
I think Aaron's like 44.
Yeah, and he looks great, and he's killing it. He's super fit. He could probably go do anything he wants.
Yeah.
I would rather be that than qualify individual for the games at 33.
Right.
But then I just can't walk.
Right.
Or I can't.
Yeah, I mean, what's the payment that you're willing to make for?
Like, what good am I doing the world?
Yeah.
I heard something, and it was, if you're not making somebody else's life better, then you're wasting your time.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you can almost, not to go too deep, and we could wrap it up soon, but like, I think you could almost say that like, what's the meaning of life? I think the meaning of life is to find something you're really, really good at, and then find ways to make other people's lives better with that skill.
Yep, 100%.
I think that's literally the meaning of life.
Yeah. So if I'm sitting here just getting my clean and jerk as high as possible, and I want to get super strong and do all that, am I actually helping anybody? Yeah. My brain will tell me that, I'm inspiring the world.
Right.
Which maybe I am.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are some high level, like the we'll call them the fitness celebrities, right? Yeah. The high level, multiple appearance athletes that are like entities now, because like those athletes are entities now. You know what I mean? They're a brand. They have the possibility to change people's lives in a positive way because they have the microphone.
Yes.
But if you were to just slide in one year, that's very different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Danny Spiegel going to the game 7 times in a row and having an audience is very different than like the 45th guy squeaking into the games, selling his soul to be there, probably never going to be there again.
And there's nothing wrong with, I love when people compete and they overcome obstacles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they make it to the games.
Of course.
I love it.
Of course.
It's great, and I'm not knocking that at all. It's just, have to be somewhat realistic and get I had the delusional dream that was going to be me, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And that's actually great because I love what I do now.
Yeah,
My life is
agree.
great.
Same.
I would rather do what I'm doing now than go to the games.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, but if that's, there are people that are so good and then that's their path and run it and fucking do it.
Agreed.
I'm all about it, but it's just.
That's not the general population.
That's less
and
than 1%.
that's who we're speaking to right now.
Yeah.
And we're not like you said, we're not knocking anybody that's like gonna squeak into the games only 1 year. That's not what we're doing.
Badass in itself.
100%. Better than what we're gonna do.
Ever.
Yeah. But what we're talking to is like the general population of people that are creating an unhealthy relationship with fitness, with potentially CrossFit, with just like everything that you got to remember that this needs to be a tool in your arsenal, not your one gun.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Mixing up the means and the ends. Like
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
not the end all be all.
Yeah.
Is to be the fittest dude at CrossFit Boynton Beach.
Yeah.
I mean, like props. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
That's good.
Absolutely.
But was the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Is it actually worth the pain and suffering and potential injury and loss of friendships and that? That's more of what I'm. If you can run it and still have healthy relationships and your body's not broken, do it, man. You should go to the games.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't personally.
Yeah.
I couldn't hang. I would have had to sacrifice everything and it wasn't worth it to me.
Yeah.
And it's, I guess, maybe what we're saying is just what. Is it worth it to you? Have you ever even thought about that?
Have you thought about that?
Have you thought about that?
Have you realized that maybe you're putting all of your pennies into the wrong basket, and maybe you need to spread them out a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or your pennies. I like to think about the Brady Bunch in those 9 boxes.
Oh yeah.
And then you can have your balance. You have family in one, fitness in one, career in one, hobbies in one.
What I always liked was like the bucket, like the pail, and then you like it would like pour water, like here's your fitness and here's your family, and then you fill up the pail.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to fill it up with any one thing. Same thing, just different analogy.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah, good shit.
First one back.
Yeah. We'll see you guys in 2024.
Yeah. Not 2024. So what's the date? Like the 26th? 27th. We will do another one before January 27th, 2024. Mark my words.
All right.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
All right.